don't know what to test. Your test ain't gonna be the same as mine. And mine might not be the same as yours, but let them come. Let all the tests come. Because what we need to teach our babies in them households is the 18 years of Jesus' life that's missing in the Holy Bible. And the reason why we teach these 18 years that's missing in the Holy Bible to our people, because Jesus had to go through some things. And the things that Jesus went through, we have to go through the same thing that Jesus went through to make ourselves approved. And what I mean by approved, see, Lord, man is the Lord of the plane of things made manifest. Lord is ruler and governor. And Noble Ali came to tell the Moors that we need to become the ruler and governors of ourselves. And when we become the rulers and governors of ourselves, then we'll be able to walk above water on this plane of things made manifest, and we won't be sinking down to death, and that means we'll get some stuff done. Because right now, we're Negroes, we're colored, and we're black. And we have no rights that a citizen is bound to respect, because these names was given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. Now, we took on this. We know that when this government was first formed, it was formed from those that was put out of the penitentiaries in Europe. But we also know that when you begin to talk about the first senators and the first congressmen in this government, they look just like you and me. Going back to the first White House being in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Independence Hall. Moors are there every year, October the 14th, to talk about that. Because in Independence Hall is when George Washington said, "I must not tell a lie. I chopped down the cherry tree." And he said cherry tree because it's red and because it's green. And we used to say that in school about the cherry tree, and I want to reiterate, all of us that's listening to me right now, when we went to school, we was told that George Washington was the first president of the United States, but we couldn't think because our minds was gone. But it had to be Noble Drew Ali to come and tell us that the first president of the United States could not have been George Washington, because George Washington was a general in the army. And when he was a general in the army, he crossed the Delaware. And when he did that, someone else was in charge of running this government. And who was it? John Hanson. See, before the Constitution, there were the first 7 Articles of Confederation. And when you know about that, you know that the Boston Tea Party had a lot of gunpowder. That tea that you thought was tea was really gunpowder. So here in America, we're not mad with America, the Moorish America. So you got a lot of different kind of Moors now. You have Drew Ali Moors, you have radical Moors. You know, you don't have Moors that's under the Constitution. Noble Drew Ali put us under the Constitution, telling us that we were citizens. Brother Navi Hill, in the holy day of Friday, he said he might stop calling himself an Arabian name. He said because every time he tells them people, my name is Navi, they look at him crazy. But Noble Drew Ali told us that. See, you ain't changing nothing. You just corrected it anyway. Because you are who your forefathers were. And when you say you ill Bay, then that means you part of the ill Bay tribe of the Moabite nation. And this is history that has been taken away from you and me. And a lot of times, I don't like talking like this to brothers and sisters, because the first thing you think is something radical. We're not racist, but we have race pride. We also know that when you begin to talk about the human family, we are all connected. See, because the whole world was not always called what is called today. At one time, this whole landmass was called Asia. See, it once was called Asia. And then you start dealing with Pangea. You know, you begin to deal with continental drift. And when you begin to deal with this, that means Drew Ali putting you in thought to let you know who you are and who your forefathers were. Now, all of these little brothers who want to be gangsters, okay, you want to be a gangster. Where did this come from? Who crucified Jesus? It was the Roman nations. It was the Roman nation that crucified Jesus. Okay, where's Rome at? Rome is in Italy. Wow. And Italy is where the Italians is. Ah. And some of the Italians call themselves the mafia. Wow. So the same people that we want to pattern ourselves behind and be like and do illegal things is the same one that crucified Jesus for seeking to redeem his people from under the Roman yoke and law. So now every time you meet a Moorish American, the first thing they want to do is go down to the courthouse. We going down to the courthouse and file some paperwork on the United States. You ain't said nothing about getting into these literatures so you'll be able to be a better citizen. Getting into these literatures so you'll be able to overcome hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. Drew Ali is a divine prophet. He came from the great God Allah to redeem us from that which was lost. Our forefathers are the founders of civilization. Our forefathers are the ones who came with the monotheistic religion, not polytheism. He said monotheism. Polytheism is the belief in one God. Polytheism is the belief in more than one God. Sometimes our flesh is our God. Our car is our God. All the things, food is our God. See, a lot of times, man, we supposed to be exercising, fasting like the prophet said. All we do is eat, and we eat. And everybody that tells me that they on a diet and try to lose weight is the one that got the biggest guts. And I don't understand that. You know, sometimes I eat when I get hungry and my stomach growl because you're supposed to take care of this temple, because this is the temple of God. So what we need to understand, that in this government, every nationality have different customs, they have different cultures, that they have different heritage, and they have different traditions. And when our children go out to the schools and deal in the curriculum with all these other children, we need to be fortified in the things that we're taught in our household. But if our mothers and fathers are drunk all the time, or so high they can't reach you, because some of our people think they're so high they can't talk to the children, when you do that, then that means our children is going to go out the house and get caught up in the things that other nationalities are doing. Because a lot of times we don't realize it, that we're worshiping under somebody else's vine and fig tree and not our own. We need to understand that we are today what our forefathers were yesterday. And there's no one who is able to change man from the decent nature of his mother and father unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator, Allah himself. We don't have jobs because we don't get together to create our own jobs. Let's stop begging somebody. Remind me of we want our 40 acres and our mule. We're always crying that we don't have this, we don't have that. But what you're looking for, what I like about the Spanish community, man, there might be 20 of them that live in one house. 20 of them live in one house, and then you look up, they got a mansion. See? And that's what we need to learn how to do. Worship under our own vine and fig tree. When you do that, you have your own principles. See, we have 5 principles, which are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We have a religion. Our religion is Islamism. It's the doctrine. It's the practice. It's the studying. It's making yourself approved, being a better person on this earth. We are humanitarians because we are for the uplifting of fallen humanity. And how did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish Americans? By teaching them to be themselves. Who are you? Now, I didn't ask you your nationality. I asked you, who are you? If I ask you who you are, then you can tell me that you're an Asiatic Muslim. And you can say that you're an Asiatic Muslim because the whole world wants to call Asia. I teach this all the time, that in Revelation 1:4, it talked about the 7 churches that was in Asia. And the reason why I talked about the 7 churches that was in Asia, at that time, Europe was not even in existence. That's why Noah's Ark rested in Mount Ararat. Because when you begin to talk about the scriptures, and when you begin to talk about Mount Ararat is in Turkey. Mount Ararat is in Turkey, but you have an Asiatic Turkey and you have a European Turkey. And let me explain that, being that the whole world was called Asia at one time. The prophet tells us that the Turks are the chief protectors of the Islamic creed, beginning from Muhammad I. Okay, so in 1453, Allah had to send us another prophet when you were dealing with Constantinople, Istanbul, and etc. But the prophet he sent this time was of Turkish nationality. So when Noah's Ark was in Mount Ararat, you have an Asiatic Turkey and you have a European Turkey. Let me explain. All of those Turks that accepted that accepted Christianity, they changed to be European. And all those that was Muslims, they stayed Asiatic. So now in Turkey, you have an Asiatic Turkey and you have a European Turkey. Now when you look at the Turks, a lot of people say they're white people because they look just like a European, but they're Turkish. And when I say look just like a European, that's those that's in Europe, because now, in this mad human drama, in this human family, everybody that's called Asiatic are the Spanish people, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Vietnamese, everybody in the East. But in the West, everybody that call themselves white are European. Now, when you begin to talk about the Caucasus Mountains, when you begin to talk about bringing, if you have a tree here in Asia and you have a tree here in Europe, you bring both of these trees together, they're going to match, and you see it ain't but one. So it ain't but one land mass. And Noble Drew Ali came to restore that upon us. Noble Drew Ali just didn't come to the Moors, he came to the whole world. He is a universal prophet. All God's prophets are universal. That's why we honor Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius, and all of God's prophets, because they are one. Even though they're in a different flesh, whenever a nation is in need for a prophet, Allah will send one. So he sent Buddha, he sent Confucius, he sent Jesus, and he sent Muhammad to the nation that needed him at that time. So now, one time, man, Jesus was speaking Chinese. If you're talking about the spirit, one time he was speaking Japanese. One time he was teaching Hebrew. So whatever the language is. So when I'm with a Jehovah's Witness, I call God Jehovah. Whenever I'm with a Christian, I call him God. You better if you want to be intelligent, because they so unintelligent, they don't realize about Nimrod the mighty hunter, when the confusion of the tongues, when we were speaking one time of the same language, but then when things transpired, now there's many different languages in the human family. So God has many different names that they may call him. However, he's the causeless cause, the rootless root, from which all things have gone. And I know that God lives, because when I see goodness in people, when I see love, when I see truth, when I see peace, freedom, and justice in another, they are attributes of God that's living in them. So now these teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, these helps me out. It helps me become a better person. It helps me to try to learn to love instead of hate. Hate is a part of the lower self. If you hate, then you're not with God. See, you have to try the spirit. You have to test the spirit. And you have to see, are you from the same spirit? Everybody say they're spirit. Yes, we're spirit, because it's not in flesh to think, and it's not in bones to reason. And the books say, let that spirit, old man, actuate and direct the flesh. Now, when you see people doing a lot of shooting, and a lot of killing, a lot of fornicating, there's a spirit that's directing that flesh. So whatever you do in this flesh, you is a spirit, and you can direct the flesh. But when you see a person go to the masjid, going to the synagogue, they're helping humanity, they're going to the temple, they're doing the positive things that they're supposed to do, then there's a spirit in them that directs them to do that. So you say you spirit, yes you are. But what spirit are you? Are you carnal spirit? Are you human spirit? Are you divine spirit? What kind of spirit are you? But when you meet the great creator in the spirit of truth, then you'll be in your higher self. Because your higher self is the mother of virtues. We're talking about virtues now. And the harmonies of life. You know, we have in our chapter 1, it talks about the perfume, the odors, and the true sensations. And that's only for those that's in their higher self. See, your lower self is your carnal self. is the body of the Sabbath, but it's going to pass away. The Lord's self going to pass away because there was a time when it was not. The only thing that's going to remain is your higher self. And your higher self is a law and man. So what we need to do as Moorish Americans, we need to get into the book. We need to get into the book that Noble Drew Ali gave us for our salvation, for our strengths, to help us overcome these things of the world. Noble Drew Ali done took care of everything in the court. He done took care of everything. All you have to do is get in line, and just like you'll see, the windows of heaven are going to open. Drew Ali said, you just plain rich anyway. He said, all you have to do is open up your mouth and treasure's going to come out. Because he said, follow me to a destiny which is not uncertain nor unknown. You don't have to say a mumbling word. All you have to do is follow the prophet. But what we're taking place is we're missing the mark. We're teaching the people the truth about themselves. Brother just told me in the temple the other day, I don't really want to be a part of the government. I don't want to be an American citizen. Well, the Moorish Scientific America is not for you then. Noble Drew Ali said the citizens of all free national government, and he told us that we was a part and parcel. That's what Noble Drew Ali told us in 1913. And when Noble Drew Ali had his first convention, so you got a lot of people now getting involved with politics and getting involved with a lot of things, but years ago they wouldn't because they say they didn't want to be a part of what's going on in this government. Noble Drew Ali gave us the sign first. He was the first one come to tell you about Islam. If it weren't for Noble Drew Ali, the Holy Quran of Mecca would not have been illegal in this government. So we he said through sin and disobedience,